Hello, today we're going to talk about an article by the name of Regionalism and Communication, Voices from the Chinese Diaspora. This is from Casey Man Lum, and it comes from the book Our Voices, Essay in Culture, Ethnography, and Communication. You'll see some more essays from this book I'll talk about as we go on in the class. So the first thing I think about is, what is a diaspora? Diaspora is a group of people that come from another place and are living in other spaces in the world, but they have not completely given up their culture. They have a connection to their original culture that they've emigrated from. So they're part of the diaspora. There's people from all of different countries in the world and different cultures in the world, and as they live in these different places, they become part of the wider diaspora. So regionalism, and we're going to talk with this group, with this discussion about specific groups of individuals in New York who come from Chinese backgrounds. So they're part of the Chinese diaspora. So we're going to talk about a couple different groups in there, and you can think about how diasporas range in with respect to kind of their specific cultural identities. So one group of people in the diaspora in New York, and the Chinese diaspora, are Hong Kong immigrants that represent the largest percentage of Chinese American community in New York City. There are also Chinese from other regions, such as Southeast Asia and Taiwan. Of all of these groups, you need to think about with regards to China. In China, there are 7 dialect groups, and these different dialect groups are technically, linguistically different languages. So it's not like in the U.S. where we have different dialect groups, but it's all the same language. It's English. So people in the South will say, "I'm fixing to," or "I need to get my picture made." When people in other areas will say, "I'm getting ready to," or "I'm going to," or something along the lines of, "I'm going to get my picture taken, not made." There's a number of different dialectical things that people do in different regions, but it's the same language. In China, they are linguistically different language, so they are full-fledged different languages within the same geographical boundaries. People from Hong Kong speak Cantonese. People from other regions speak either Mandarin or one of a number of different regional dialects. We don't need to go into those specifically, but there are a number of different regional dialects. One of them being Taiwanese, which we'll talk about because that's a frequently spoken language of newer immigrants Chinese immigrants in New York. So it's not uncommon for Chinese students from different regions to converse in English because they don't speak each other's languages, in the sense of Cantonese and Mandarin. And part of the discussion in this article is how people will express frustration because they go into it, they can't actually converse with people in a Chinese store or a Chinese restaurant in New York, even though they are other New York Chinese, because they can't speak either Mandarin or Cantonese or one of these other dialects. Okay, now people from cities such as Hong Kong, Beijing, and Shanghai and Taiwan are more able to easily adapt to life in the urban center of New York than people from other rural regions in China. And that's another important aspect of regionalism. So we've got the communication aspect of regionalism, and we also have this cultural aspect of regionalism from the sense of an urban environment and rural environments. And we can think of it being the same thing, right? Somebody from Chicago would probably be easier, they do an easier job integrating in the life of New York than somebody from, say, Wiener, Arkansas would be able to easily integrate themselves into New York life. Okay, so this will be the end of this presentation, and we'll start a new presentation as we transition in this topic.